Hey there and welcome to Photoshop 301, Section 1 on Type. In this section, we're going to show you everything you need to know about working with type in Photoshop, including adding new fonts to Photoshop using Typekit, as well as adjusting spacing in between each letter to get the most out of each font you work with in Photoshop. Alright guys, we got an awesome section. Let's go ahead and jump into Photoshop. Alright, we're going to start off by opening up our image. Let's hit Control-Command-O. We're going to go through Photoshop 301, 01 type, and here in our images folder, we've got 01 type.tiff. So let's go ahead and hit open here. Alright, I'm going to hit F for full screen, and we're going to start off by basically showing you guys how this image is made, because it looks pretty simple, but it is made of a bunch of different layers that were kind of cut together. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with our background. So here in our background, we've got a few different layers. We're starting off with a solid fill adjustment layer, giving us this blue color. Next, we've got another one that's got a green color, and we're using a gradient to kind of mask it in from the top to the bottom. And next, we've got our texture. Now, this texture is actually the exact same texture that's on our subject's jacket. Now, it's actually a picture of the subject's jacket. So let's go ahead and make the subject visible here. We're going to take this layer and change the blend mode from screen back to normal. Okay, and I'm going to hit Control or Command T. We're going to go ahead and lock the width and the height there, and we're going to go ahead and bring that down. So you can see it's actually the exact same jacket as our subject was wearing. Basically, we just put this on the ground, took a picture of this, and here in Photoshop, scaled it a lot larger, and then changed the blend mode to give it a unique texture in the background. So kind of a cool element to kind of combine what's going on with our subject to a texture in the background. All right, I'm going to hit Escape. That's going to resize it back to how it was. We're going to change our blend mode from normal to screen, which is going to basically just get rid of the darks there. Okay? And then we're going to put our layer here with the white, basically just, let's make our subject invisible right now. A color fill layer with white, and we've got a layer mask here, so it's only visible here in this area. All right, just gives it like a little bit of a highlight right behind our subject. Okay, next we have our subject. Let's go ahead and make him visible. And we've got a bunch of different adjustment layers here on our subject. Basically, he's just cut out from his background, so we photographed our subject on a green background, started off by cutting him out of the background, and then all these layers are just used to adjust like color, as well as we've got a little bit of sharpening, and then we've got some, this layer here basically adds the same gradient on his mug as it's in the background. So again, just trying to tie the subject to the background in really interesting ways. Okay. Next we have our table. Now our subject was photographed on this like white box here, and we made this like pretty quickly right before the photo shoot. So basically what we did is just extended out the box to the left and the right and got rid of all the, all the little like this line and things like that. Basically this area here where the subject is actually touching the box, that's the exact same as the original photo. Everything else was just extended out. So that was done just simple, a couple different like regular layers here. Basically just used the marquee tool, made a selection there, and then just used the brush tool on this layer, sampled the color, and then painted that out. So relatively simple there. And then we've got a white layer that basically goes from a white gradient up to the top there. Okay, so that makes up our table, and then just added a little bit of a coffee text on here, an example. Now this I actually pulled from Adobe stock, and we're going to be working on adding our own coffee text in this image. All right. So that's a basic idea of how this image was actually created. Let's go ahead and jump into type. So we're going to start off by creating a little bit of type here. So I'm going to hit T for the type tool. Okay, and we're going to click here, and I'm just going to type in C-O-F-F-E-E, coffee. That spells coffee. Now let's go ahead and work on our adjustments for our type. We're going to go to Window and down to Character. Okay, now a real quick overview here. Here within the Character menu, you have a lot of different options that actually adjust your type. And you have basically the same options here up at the top. So this is kind of like a shorter list of options, and this is a little bit more advanced. All right, well, let's go ahead and start off with our different fonts. So here you can see, click your drop-down list. Here's an example of all the fonts that are that are preloaded within Photoshop. So let's say we want to go through, there we go, Helvetica New Bold Italic. Okay, let's go ahead and change our color up here to white. And let's hit OK. Now, let's say you have some fonts that you want to add to Photoshop. You're like, okay, well, I'm looking to create this logo, but I don't have